Hello, hello, hello. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Let me adjust my volume to make sure that everyone hears me. Hello, I am your host, Angel Carmel. Welcome to Conversations with Angel. Welcome in, everyone. As you come in, make yourself at home. Make yourself at home. Hi, Mr. JP. Hello, stranger. I hadn't seen you in a while. How are you? Hello, everybody. Welcome in. Welcome in. Please tap the screen, share the live with 5 people. All I ask is 5 people. Share the live with 5 people. This is my weekly show, Conversations with Angel. I am your host, Angel Carmel. Happy New Year to you too, Mr. JP. It's good to see you. I am your host, Angel Carmel. I come to you every week with adult content ranging from relationships to femininity to current events to questions that make you think. My goal every week when I talk to you all is for you to leave differently, whether you've learned something, maybe a different perspective, or maybe you as a commenter or even a host on the guest on my panel that you've given perspective to someone or to me. I don't like to have my show in such a way that everybody that comes on my panel agrees with me because I know that we all have different perspectives, different opinions. We see the world from different lenses. So as long as I am growing, um, I'm learning and vice versa. So, welcome in. Hello, Nisi. How are you, sweetheart? Welcome in, everyone. Please, please, please tap the screen. Tonight's topic is um, data collection. You hear me all the time talk about dating and the difference between dating around and really being in a relationship with someone, being exclusively dating or data collecting. One of the things that I have learned, even in my single space and in talking to people, is people don't know how to date. And you aren't taught how to date. I mean, let's face it. Most of us, people particularly in my age group, and I'll be 52 in a couple weeks, in about a week and a half, actually. But we are taught that you meet somebody, you get married after you go to school and get a good job. And so, what happens in between, we aren't necessarily taught to do. We aren't taught how to date. Hi, Larry. How are you? Hello, Americell LLC. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Yes, Black Don't Crack. Yes. Thank you, Nisi. January 30th is my birthday. Um, so, we aren't really taught how to date. We're just taught, the basics, and particularly women of a certain age. And I say of a certain age because I believe now, my daughter's 22, and I've talked to her about, dating freely and not getting tied down and all of those things and safe sex and all that. But the conversations that my parents and my parents' parents had is very different than what we're experiencing now. Hello, Eliminated. Hello, sweetheart. So, one of the things that we aren't taught is how to date. And so people was like, Angel, what do you mean? It's you go out on a date. The problem is we meet someone that we really, really like, and we're vibing and we instantly start thinking about the future, or we instantly start becoming territorial. So, who thinks that way? We women typically start thinking about the future. Oh, he's husband material after the first date. We're picking out the China pattern and already visualizing ourselves in this fabulous white gown walking down the aisle. And then men typically are thinking about, okay, if I juggle this one and I'm with this one, how long is it going to take before, you know what I'm saying? Not all men and not all women. But what that thought process does is it skips over what I like to call data collection. Hello, Bricks in the building. Hello, handsome. So, because we're skipping over that part, we wind up seeing someone, going on a couple dates. We get this infatuation feeling, and we forget about the data collection. We may even become intimate with that person or really seeing them on a regular level, and we don't know what their goals are. We don't know what their desires, what are their dreams, what was their family like, what was it like for them growing up, what are the things that make them tick. So I like to call dating data collection. So tonight's topic is about, well, how do you collect that data? Thank you so much, Illuminating. Thank you. How do you collect that data? So what I've done is, y'all know I always have my notes. I did a poll of approximately 100 people over the course of 3 months. So as I went to different social events, parties, mixers, I asked them, what are some questions that you would ask a person that you're interested in? And I compiled what I believe are some excellent questions. So we're going to talk about those, and then some really good conversation starters to collect data. Remember, the idea is for you to get to know this person. A lot of times we fall into this trap of being infatuated or in lust with someone, and we don't really know them. Or we think we know them, but what we've actually done was we've been dating their representative or the imposter. So these questions and these conversation starters that I want to give you all will help you. It's not going to totally eliminate, and it's not total, but it's going to help you to collect data to make an informed decision. Is this in fact someone that I think I want to be in a committed or exclusive relationship with? Or is this person someone that I even like? I'll tell you a quick story before I get into the questions and the conversation starters. I was reading some posts on Facebook sometime last year, and I came across this young lady who was talking about this great guy that she had been dating. He takes her out on nice dates. She's cooked for him. She's done all of these. Thank you so much for the team points. She's cooked for him, and she was just like, oh gosh, he's just the best person. And she said one morning they woke up and she looked at him and he was looking at her, and she was like, and the way he was looking at me, it just melted my heart. And he's like, you are so amazing. I don't understand why you're still single. And I was like, oh my God. But how many of you, or someone who's been in that situation, entertaining someone without data collecting for a year, 6 months, years, and they believe that they're in a relationship with that person, but because they didn't data collect and because they didn't have a clear conversation, that other person wasn't in a relationship with them. So my hope is that these questions and these conversation starters will help you to get to know the men and women that you're going out with and get comfortable enough to have that conversation. And both of you agree this is a relationship, or we're just kicking it, or we're friends with benefits, or whatever. But you're comfortable and having that conversation. So that little story tickled me. So, one question to ask: tell me about a time you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were meant to be successful. Tell me about a time you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were meant to be successful. So, the reason why that is an excellent question to ask someone is you see how they think about themselves and their success. They're either going to answer it in a way that says, well, I believe that I'm successful now because blah, 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 blah. Or you see if someone is dealing with perhaps some self-esteem issues or don't think very highly of themselves. Now, you could treat that one or two ways. You could be sympathetic and listen, and maybe they'll be vulnerable and tell you a little bit about why they feel that way. But I can tell you with most men, ladies, a man isn't going to be vulnerable with you until he can trust you with his vulnerability. So, for the most part, a man answering that question, if he has very good self-esteem and he considers himself successful and already has a plan to increase his level of success, then he's going to give you just enough for you to see that, but he's not going to be completely vulnerable. Remember, ladies, we use 2,500, 3,000 words a day, whereas men use half that. That's because they're more about action as opposed to using a lot of words. Now, listen to what I just said. Men are about action. They're about doing. And they're less about using a lot of words. So why is it that we as women get emotionally invested in a man's words versus his actions? We need to be emotionally invested in his actions because that's what they lean into. That is what they're committed to. Men don't use a lot of words, but unfortunately, we as ladies get caught up in what they're saying, and if his words don't match with his actions, guess what? It's not going to work. It doesn't make sense. So, men that are asking that question about a woman, that question will help you discern whether she wants to be a kept woman or not. You see, a woman who understands the level of success and admits to where she is lacking in areas because of what she needs from a man. And remember, ladies, men love to feel desired and be shown that they're desirable. So if we are answering that question in a way, well, I believe that I am successful, and here's why. But my success would be doubled with the right partner by me. By answering the question that way, you're showing him that there's a place for him in your life. See, if we answer the question and say, well, I already know that I'm successful because I have X amount of degrees, I'm a 6-figure woman, I'm my own boss. A man is asking himself as you're talking, well, where do I fit in? I can't do anything for her. And so that comes across very masculine. So that's one question. Another question, are you serious? What do you mean, am I serious? Do you have a question? I don't understand. I'm very serious. But what is it that you don't understand? Because I'll be happy to clarify for you. Another question. What is your view on monogamy? Are you capable of being faithful to one woman or one man, depending upon which gender is asking the question. What is your view on monogamy? Now, you see where that question sounds a lot better than, do you cheat? Can you be faithful? Because what that says to the person that's listening is that you've got trust issues already, that you potentially are bringing in baggage from past relationship trauma. But when you ask someone what their view is, you're sincerely wanting to know where they stand, because that person may say, you know what, I'm really not into monogamy. I am looking to be, with multiple men or multiple women. So by asking them what their view is, you're validating what they say back to you. And then you make a decision whether you want to be involved with that person if their view is different from your view. But wouldn't it be a shame to be invested in someone for months to find out that they're into polygamy? Or vice versa, you're into polygamy and they're into monogamy. So again, I'm going to repeat the question. If any of my moderators are in, please encourage everyone. Let's tap the screen. Let's get to 10K so that we can be on the For You page and share this live with 5 people. All I ask is share with 5 people. So continue to tap the screen. Another good question to ask while you're data collecting, and just to reiterate what we're talking about tonight, we're talking about data collection and what it is that you ask, the questions that you ask as you're dating, whether you're dating multiple people, which I encourage you to date, have fun, and then what you will find, and a lot of men struggle with this when they hear me say this, particularly to women. A lot of men was like, that sounds, like she hot, and I'm not gonna give any attention to any woman that's dating multiple men. Hear me when I say this. No one should go on a date with someone with the intent that that other person is immediately exclusive. Because that's just simply not the case. Everyone has a somebody before they meet you. There's somebody there. And even if they have not been dating, if you meet somebody on a dating app, for example, chances are you're not the first person that swiped right on them, whether it's a man or a woman. You cannot assume that they may not have a date scheduled for Friday, Sunday, Monday, whatever. Because remember, it's dating. Most people know within that first date, that first interaction, whether they're going to want to spend time with that person again. And then they will make a decision. Okay, I think I really want to invest my time and get to know this person. So I think I'm just going to date this person for a while. That's fine, and that's completely up to you. But do not be upset if that person does not feel that way. Because until both of you agree that you're going to be exclusive, you're single. So you should date and get to know. You could decide to put all your eggs in one basket and find out as you're data collecting that this person is just not the right person for you. So Kevin says people must be mature enough and secure enough to understand the situation. Let's see what Jordan says. You could get physically hurt dating. Okay, so Jordan, a person should only be triggered by someone else dating someone else is because they have already determined the terms of the relationship as being exclusive or monogamous. Otherwise, if I go out with you, Jordan, you call me and you say, hey, Angel, we met on TikTok. I'd like to take you to lunch, or I'd like to take you. First of all, I'm going to immediately say to you, well, Jordan, I would like for our first exchange to be very high level. I'd love to meet you in person. Let's meet at a park. Let's meet at a coffee shop. Let's meet at, somewhere that's very high level, very casual, so that we can discern whether we even like each other. And if a man is going to take me out on a date that's more formal and he's going to spend his own money, I certainly want him to know that he likes me and that he is investing in the potential in me. So the way to get around that is to make it very high level casual, so that if we don't like each other, if we don't have chemistry, if we don't vibe, when we have that first date, that real date, then we have no regrets. Too many times I have heard men say, I took this woman out on this date and I spent all this money on her, and she didn't even talk. She wasn't this, she wasn't that. Or I've talked to men that are women that said, I went on this date with this guy. I really wasn't attracted to him. I really didn't like him. And I felt so bad because he spent all this money on this restaurant. And so when I talk to women that say that, I tell all the time, especially the ladies that I coach, if you allow your first date to be something like that, make sure that you have enough money to cover the cost of both of you, so that there's no pressure. If you're not feeling him, if you're not vibing with him, offer to take the check and explain to him why. I really appreciate, I've enjoyed myself, but I'm just not feeling any chemistry. Offer to go Dutch or take care of the whole bill. Because unfortunately, we have come into an era in which there has become this notion that paying for dates comes at a cost. Some of it's sex, some of it you've got to be really, really pretty, or it's got to be what's in it for me. There are a lot of men out there who don't think like that. So let me just say that. But unfortunately, you don't know which ones they are until it happens. So be prepared. I have heard of men walking out on dates because they weren't attracted to the woman or because she did something that ticked them off. So never go on a date, a formal date, to some nice, expensive, lavish place if you are not prepared to pay yourself. Here's the other reality. Something could happen to his credit card or, whatever. Be prepared. Don't date if you are not prepared, and don't do that. So the first meeting, exactly, and Marisol, the first meeting should be very high level, very casual. Suggestion again, Starbucks, any type of coffee shop, get some ice cream, maybe meet at a park or a library, wherever, somewhere that you can sit down uninterrupted, face to face, and data collect and ask some of these questions. Another question: what have you learned about yourself from being in your past relationships? Let me repeat that. What have you learned about yourself from being in your past relationships? Why would I ask that question, Angel? You would ask this question because you want to see two things. If there's healing, or if this person is healed from past relationship trauma, and self-awareness. Does this person have the ability to be self-aware? Have they practiced self-awareness? Is the accountability in place? And if they say, well, I haven't learned anything because all of the relationships that I've been in, I've been cheated on, I've been this, and there's the blame is on the other person, that's someone who's not self-aware. That means that they aren't healed, and they're going to bring the past relationship trauma into your new potential relationship. So you want to see where people are. And unfortunately, a lot of people say that the dating pool is contaminated. Well, it's not that the pool is contaminated, it's the people that's getting in it. It's the married people that's getting in the dating pool. It's the people that's been traumatized by past relationships that hasn't recovered from that. It's the people that have baggage that they have not unpacked. And so what they're doing is they're going from relationship to relationship, and they're contaminating new potential relationships from happening. Hello, Magic. Hello, sweetheart. How are you? Hello, homie. Exactly why my last relationship ended. She had only been used to toxic relationships. Exactly. So the question to ask, and just to reset the room for all of you all just joining me, I'm Angel Carmel, and this is Conversations with Angel. Tonight we're talking about data collection and dating. What type of data do you collect when you're dating? And I'm giving some questions to ask. And just to repeat a couple that I've already gone over, tell me about a time you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were going to be successful. What is your view on monogamy? Or are you capable of being monogamous with one woman or one man? What have you learned about yourself from being in a past relationship? Hi, Alicia. Hello, sweetheart. So, another question. Have you identified your purpose in life, and are you walking in it or toward it? Let me repeat that. Hey, Charles. What have you learned? No, I'm sorry. Have you identified your purpose in life, and are you walking in it or walking towards it? Now, ladies, I'm going to start with you. One of the reasons why you want to ask a man this question is because it will help you to see him identify the need for help, i.e., the need for a partner, i.e., a need for a wife. Here's the thing. Men that are on their purpose and will not allow anything to distract them from their purpose, when they're moving towards their purpose, if they are sincerely interested in having a relationship and getting married, they will recognize, if they're moving towards it, the need for the help to stay on it. And they will view you as valuable if you demonstrate that you can help him stay on his purpose. Now, mind you, I'm not talking about helping to fulfill his purpose or carry him in his purpose. No, being a helper, a contributor to his purpose. If a man sees that you are going to be a distraction from his purpose, he is not going to commit to you. You are just going to be someone that he's either sleeping with or stringing along. Once a man clearly knows his purpose and is either in his purpose or going towards his purpose, he will subtly tell you in many ways where he needs help. And that's where success comes in bridging those gaps, particularly for men and women. Men, when you ask a woman this question, she's either going to provide for you that she has been able to see that purpose but wants to fulfill it with someone in her life to be a leader or to lead her through that purpose. You see, when a woman has gotten to a level of success, if she has come to the realization that she wants to be married or wants to be in an exclusive relationship or have a life partner in her life, she isn't at her full purpose potential because she also recognizes that she needs a partner who is on his purpose that can lead her and be a leader. See, a woman will submit to a man worthy of her submission. But if a man is unclear about what his purpose is, has no vision for the future, and is not aspiring to be successful, then it's impossible for him to lead. Therefore, she should not submit. And a lot of people look at me crazy when I talk about submission, but please understand, submission does not mean control. Submission means that you are completely honest with the fact that somebody in your life, the person in your life, does something that you can't. And you're submitting to them because they are doing something for or with you that you are unable to do. That's why submission goes both ways. Case in point, you have a married couple. One of the let's say the wife, for example, is a bill paying diva. She has always been on her grind about paying bills. She understands budgets. She knows how to make a dollar stretch. She is good at investing and doing all of those things financial. And the husband, let's say that he is really, really, really good at organization and order and structure, but may not be good in paying bills. Maybe he, just kind of ballparks it. He doesn't balance his checkbook. And maybe she's not entirely organized and maybe not structural, but they come together, then they submit to one another the things that each of them can't do. So he says, well, honey, we make the money, we're going to pool our resources, but I'm tasking you to pay the bills. You write the checks or set up the ACH drafts. It's on you. You create the budget for the family. That's you. That's him submitting to her because he's admitting that that's something that he can't do. And she's like, well, you take care of making certain that, all of the lights are changed and the grass is cut, whether you're cutting it or you pay somebody else to cut it or whatever. Then she's submitting to him. She's submitting to him to make decisions, but he's submitting to her to see, okay, in our savings that you're keeping up for us, can we go ahead and buy this boat? And let's talk about this together. Submission is dual, and it's not about control. It's, again, about being honest with things that you just simply cannot do. When you ask the question about walking in your purpose, if a person answers it and says that they're walking towards their purpose, then what are they doing? If a person recognizes that they have a purpose, period, then that person's a keeper. See, a lot of people, unfortunately, are walking around not even knowing what their purpose is or even acknowledging that they have a purpose. But if the person hasn't captured their purpose yet, then what's prohibiting them? And why have they not met it? They have a plan, say, well, I haven't done X. I haven't started my business because I need to get this and this and this and this. They have a plan. That's a person that you see yourself being invested with. So when you ask a potential mate or partner, husband or wife that question, you get to see an imposter is not going to have an answer to that question because their focus is making certain that they fake it until they make it either into your bed or into your head. Let me repeat that. An imposter, because a lot of times people show up as an imposter in this dating space. If you ask an imposter that question, they will not be able to answer it because they're focusing on being the one to deceive you to get inside your bed or inside of your head. But a person that fully understands their purpose, that fully understands what it means to be successful, what I need to do to get to the next level, how a partner in my life can help complement that, that's a keeper. And that question will help you discern that person. And then another question to ask, what is your vision for us or the relationship that you desire? Now that's a two-part question, and it's not loaded when you put us in there, because what you're doing is you want to see for men, especially his values. He's going to reveal those values. And he's going to demonstrate his capacity to leave. Hello, Soliloquy Speaking. Welcome in. Welcome in. Hey, honey, how are you? Yes, I am feeling better. Thank you so much. It was more my voice than anything. I had laryngitis, so I couldn't even participate on Sunday with the transformation team, which is a bummer. But I am feeling better. Thank you so much for asking. So the question again, what is your vision for us or the relationship that you desire? Ladies, when you ask a man that question, it will reveal his values. Men want women who are valuable to them, particularly their time. They're not going to be with a woman who wastes his time, who nags about what he does with his time, and who occupies his time that distracts him from his purpose. So, Angel, what are some examples of that? So you say you want a 6-figure man. Well, let me tell you, most 6-figure men don't have a lot of time. They're busy making those 6 figures. Let's face it, any working man that is legitimately in his craft is going to be busy. Not so busy that he doesn't have time to communicate. I'm not talking about those type. I'm talking about a man who has a vision, who has defined what his purpose is, and is doing whatever it takes to achieve that. He sees a woman valuable to him if she understands that. So she's not calling him all day and been out of shape because she hadn't heard from him all day. Well, he's working. Flipping that script, a woman, when a man asks a woman, what is your vision for us or the relationship that you desire? We are looking for, when we answer that question, we're going to identify things that help us to feel like women. The values of gratification, edification, appreciation. Those are the types of answers, men, that you're going to be looking for a woman. Because when a woman feels edified and appreciated, she is going to treat you like a king. Let me tell you. And our vision for a man that understands that is complemented by our actions in terms of his time. Therefore, he's going to see us as valuable, and we're going to see him as valuable. So, we're on the date. We're spending some time together, or maybe talking on the phone. If you're in a long distance, let's say you're in a long distance courtship. You meet someone on TikTok, on a dating app, or whatever circumstances. You meet someone at the airport in passing, and they're in Texas, and you're in Virginia, okay? So you spend a lot of your data collection on the phone. One of the worst things that you could pass off as data collection is talking about things that absolutely takes you or distracts you from your purpose in dating or getting to know that person. So, D, I'm a 6-figure man who always get grief from women about how I work. And that's so unfortunate, because how do you expect, and I'm glad that you raised that. Hello, Lorenzo. I'm glad that you raised that comment. The ladies that I'm coaching, when I hear them say, he's working all the time, and he's doing this, and he's doing that, I just ask them, so did you know that when you were dating him? Well, I mean, yeah, he was busy. Okay. Hello, Tori. Hello, sweetheart. Yeah, I knew. Okay. So do you want him to quit his job? Are you going to take care of him? Well, no. So you have to be compassionate with his schedule. And I'm going to tell you, a lot of men, I know a lot of men who are 6, 7, and 8 figure men that are married and single, and some of which I got some of these questions from. When I was polling for these questions and these conversation starters, one of the biggest complaints of men that are high earners is that they have dated women who did not respect their time. You know the saying, time is money? Well, to them, it is. And not saying that money is everything and they're driven by money, but their purpose lends itself for them to be busy. I challenge them and I say, okay, you're getting this complaint. Do you have any type of communication with these women to make them feel like you're neglecting them? Is there any communication? Well, yeah, I'll tell them, I've got a busy day tomorrow and I don't know if I'm going to be able to talk to you. Okay, that's communication. Do you send them a text message? Hey, hon, thinking about you. Anything. Do you send them flowers? Is there anything? Because there's got to be compromise. But, ladies, we can't expect them to just hang out on the phone or call in and check in the morning, check in at noon, check in at night, and they're trying to work on their purpose. That is an unrealistic expectation. Now, I believe that you give someone the benefit of the doubt in terms of time. You know that you're with a busy man. 24 to 48 hours, I think, is plenty of time. Plenty of, don't expect constant communication, especially out the gate when when you first met the man that he was busy. It's just not going to change. And I can promise you this. And I had to learn this the hard way. When a man realizes that the woman in his life values his time, he's not only going to create opportunities for time with her, but the time that he does spend with her, she is going to be treated like a queen. I can assure you of that. When you look at Michelle and Barack Obama, which, by the way, First Lady Michelle Obama's birthday is today. Happy birthday to my forever First Lady. Look at their relationship. This man was the leader of the United States of America, the most powerful country in the world. I can imagine he was busy. But every single time he talked about Michelle, he edified her. He spoke so highly of her. He talked about the little things that she did. Sometimes going into the White House kitchen and cooking a little snack for him after he's been meeting with the Joint Chiefs. He's the president. He was the president. But his wife made time. Do you think that she called and bemoaned him about, you've been on the phone with the prime minister of Europe for 5 hours? No. She understood his purpose. When a man is on his purpose, he is going to treat the woman in his life like a queen because she doesn't do anything to distract him from his purpose, and she values his time. Let that marinate. So, back to the dating conversation starters. So, compliment. Give genuine compliments about something that you appreciate about the person. Now, remember, this might be somebody that you date, that you're getting to know online. You've never seen each other in person. You're getting to know each other. Maybe a dating app, maybe Facebook, maybe TikTok. And you call them on the phone. Giving genuine, sincere compliments about that person. So let's say you met them on a dating app and all you have is their profile and their pictures. Give a genuine compliment. You've got to be able to compliment them on something because you both swiped right and you exchanged telephone numbers. Tell her she's beautiful, or tell him he's handsome, or I really like the way you did X. Or remember when we were on the phone the other day and you said X? I really appreciate you doing that or saying that. Genuine compliments opens the door for conversation. You then explore, appearance. You talk about style. You talk about interest. For example, you have a great smile. It instantly caught my attention. And it doesn't sound corny. And ladies, stop getting on these men for saying, hello, beautiful, every morning. Now, let me say that with this caveat. If he has nothing else to say for the rest of the day, that's a little weird. Fellas, come with a little more conversation than Grand Rising, beautiful. We like to be complimented, but we need for you to have some, integrity behind your conversation. Talk about a little more than that, than just complimenting. But there's nothing wrong, ladies, with a man complimenting you. What would you rather him say? Hello, ugly. Good morning, Shrek. Hey, Fiona. No. Appreciate the compliment because a feminine woman receives, including compliments. But then engage. Am I encouraging dialogue by text? Absolutely not. We are too grown at this big age to have textationships. But acknowledge the compliment and, maybe, hey, I can't text, I'm driving, but you want to talk? Pick up the phone and have a conversation. Cut the texting off at maybe 2 or 3 texts. And if you cannot talk at that moment because you're working or whatever, then cut it off. You know what? I'm going to call you a little bit later on. I'm not in a position to text right now. Stop having textationships, people. There's no way you can data collect through a textationship. Shared interests. Find a common ground by talking about hobbies, special interests. I remember talking to a gentleman who is working on a schoolie. Now, I'd heard about schoolies, but I didn't know exactly what it was. That was my opportunity. I said, I know it has something to do with the school bus, but what exactly is a schoolie? Because I recognized that was an interest of his, we were on FaceTime. When I tell you that man's face lit up because it's a hobby that he's working on. He's transitioning a school bus into like a trailer. And a schoolie, sometimes they roll or sometimes they stay stationary, but they look like a bus, but they have this elaborate furniture in the inside and they're transitioning to like a trailer. It's a really cool thing. But because I listened and paid attention to things that he talked about, then it engaged us in conversation. I got to ask questions and I saw the excitement in his eyes. I saw his plan through his visual description of what he was doing. And I realized, that's one of his purposes. Marisol, give a compliment and the response is boy stop. So it shouldn't be boy stop. A feminine woman will not reject a compliment. We are receivers. Men are givers, we're receivers. Think about our anatomy. Our physical anatomy and adult cardio is to receive. So a feminine woman receives compliments. Okay? I want to make sure I don't miss any questions because y'all know when I start talking. Hey, T-Body. Hey, love. Especially if he feels she's the one. Absolutely, T-Body. Yes, time. People crave good conversations. Exactly, DJ. Exactly. People love a great conversation. And, you know, I had one of my ladies that I coach had me to listen in on a conversation she had with a gentleman. Y'all, it was painful. It was painful. It was painful because both of them were kind of trying. You could tell that they like each other, but they were just struggling because they hadn't thought about or thought out the right types of data collection questions. That's why we're having this conversation tonight on Conversations with Angel. So when you're talking about shared interests, it's not just, well, what do you like to do? No, no. You want to ask very deliberate questions. If you had a favorite book, what is it? And tell me what was the best thing about the book to make it your favorite. That will get you all started in a conversation. Okay, let's say you're not dating someone who likes to read. Maybe they say they don't like to read. Who's your favorite sports team? Y'all know I'm a football head. I love my New England Patriots. One of the things that I love to do when I'm talking to a guy is to talk sports. I love it. And I love to talk about football because I love the game. So instantly, one of my conversation starters is, do you like football? Do you like college or NFL? Why? And they'll tell me, well, I like college because of this. And a lot of times, men will look at me like, what do you mean you like football? What, do you like the uniforms? Okay, okay. And I hit them and I said, well, I like college football because the guys play with a lot of heart. They have something to prove because many of them are trying to get into the NFL. Though the rules are a little bit different, I appreciate the fact that they're playing with a different agenda. But I prefer to watch NFL because it has really changed over the 50 plus years that it's been in existence. I love to see the team effort in pro football. So I've captured his attention. He's shocked that I know anything about football, but he sees my passion. Well, why you like the New England Patriots? You're a bandwagon. You just like them because of Tom Brady. Actually, no. I've liked the New England Patriots since the 90s. And one of my favorite players was Ben Black. He was a native of South Carolina. And he was recruited by Livingstone College. And he was a first round draft pick of the New England Patriots. And this was in the late 80s. He's one of the baddest tight ends out there. And he's a Hall of Famer for the New England Patriots. And most of the time, a guy will look at me like, what? Well, anybody could say that about New England. If you're a New England fan, of course you know. What do you know about football? Well, let's see. I know that on Thursday nights, some Saturdays, depending upon the season, Sundays and Mondays, I'm not available because I'm watching football. I know that I'm disappointed at the fact that there are only 4 black coaches in the NFL. But since the Roney Rule came into effect and is being finally implemented, maybe we'll see more. I also appreciate the fact, and so I'll continue to go on and find like, okay, so yeah, you know football. Absolutely. And I like to watch it. So when you ask about interests and hobbies, you'll see, think about a parent who talks about their children. A good way to calm someone down in a contentious situation is to ask them about their children. When you ask people about their children, you'll see their eyes, the glow in their eyes. Oh, well, let me tell you about my baby. She's a senior in college at USC. She's 22. I'm so proud of her. And we could go on and on about our children. That is how you have to approach dating conversations. You have to pique the interest of the person that you're talking to and find out what they like. Remember, the conversation isn't about just you, and it's not your opportunity to regurgitate everything about you. You are data collecting so that you can find out about the person sitting across from you or on the phone with you. Another conversation starter, current events. Now, before you shoot the messenger, if you are a fellow sapiosexual, such as myself, I am attracted to a man's intellect. There is nothing more sexy to me than to have a conversation with a man who helps me to learn something that I didn't know, that talks to me about things that are very contentious on the news, maybe even politics, but I reserve that for a little bit later. But when we can have an intellectual conversation, that is stimulating to me. Teddy, oh, my favorite color is purple. I love purple. As you can see from my purple nails that I need to get done. So I'm glad you asked that question, Teddy. Those types of questions are okay, but I wouldn't ask it that way. I would observe her. What color lipstick does she always wear? What are her nail colors? What are some jewelry, ring jewelry? A lot of ladies don't wear their favorite colors every day, but there are subtle nuances that you can pick up on and see. So then, if she's carrying a purple case for her phone, maybe her fingernail polish, maybe she has a ring that's purple or a bracelet, or maybe you get inside of her car and maybe she's got purple accessories. Then your question is, I noticed XXX. Your favorite color must be purple. What that does to a woman, guys, is she's thinking, ooh, he's paying attention to details. He noticed that my nail color was purple. He noticed that the inside of my car, my steering wheel cover is purple and the cup holders is purple. That means a lot and goes a long way with women. So then you expound upon that question as opposed to just asking, what is your favorite color? Observe and see and try to guess and make it playful. Well, I think your favorite color is X because. Show her that you're paying attention. And even if she says, well, actually, no, that's not my favorite color, she's still going to take note that you paid attention to subtle details about her. That goes a long way. Talk about recent news stories. What's going on? Okay, how many of you all know that the very first president of Harvard, the first African American female president of Harvard University, how many of y'all know that she resigned? That could be a conversation starter. Did you know just what I was talking about just now? The New England Patriots has hired Jerod Mayo as their head coach. The first time in Patriots history to have an African American as a head coach. What are your thoughts on that? Why do you think the NFL has 65% African American players, but only 4 African American head coaches? Conversation starters that aren't the typical, how was your day? How are you doing? What did you do at work? I don't know. That sounds robotic. Think outside the box. Think outside the box. There was another president of Lincoln University. She committed suicide. African American woman. Did you know that? Gosh, why do you think that there's such a high rate of unaliving them, of African Americans unaliving themselves? Have a conversation about that. Test each other's emotional boundaries as it relates to trauma. How does that person process someone unaliving themselves. Have conversations that mean something but help you to collect data. Did you hear about the art exhibit that opened in downtown, if this is someone that you're local? Or did you know that Sexy Red is a philanthropist and that a portion of her proceeds from her concerts and her music goes to inner city high school seniors to help them purchase their prom gowns and get haircuts and tuxedos? I'm just saying, find something, hone in on it based on what you know, and have a conversation about it. Teddy says to be genuine, personable, playful, and respectful. Absolute. Oh, I like that, Teddy. Genuine, personable, playful, and respectful. Absolutely. Don't get on the phone. I'm not going to say ever, but all the time talking about sex. Because if you're really trying to data collect, you're jumping into physical intimacy. How are you going to get to know someone? How are you going to get to know information about that person if all you're talking about is that? And where do you think that's going to lead you? Straight to the bedroom. Remember, the goal is not to have him or her rush to get into your bed or inside your head. Travel experiences. Those of you all know that I love to travel. One of my besties' names is Dee Dee Travels. She travels. You might see her TikTok. She may, God knows what part of the country she may be in. She just got back from Costa Rica. So, of course, find out about their travel experience. Do you have a passport? How many stamps do you have? What was your favorite place to visit? Ask questions like that. When you were a kid, did you all travel as a family? That will help you get an understanding about what their childhood was like, how they were raised, without asking, what is your childhood like? Because those types of questions, there's an imposter has a formed answer. There's a canned answer, because an imposter is going to give you what they think you want to hear. So they practice. Where have you gone? What was your childhood like? Ask probing questions to get real answers. An imposter isn't going to be able to answer that question because they haven't practiced that. You want someone that's going to show up in their real, authentic self. So ask out of the box questions to get the answers that you deserve and desire. So traveling. Have you ever been to Italy? Find a destination that you've been to and ask them if they've been. Worst case scenario, they've never been. That gives you an opportunity to talk about your experience there. Best case scenario, they've been, and that gives you both an opportunity to talk about your experiences. What that does is it creates potential memories for you all experiencing together. And if it's a place that you've been and they haven't, or vice versa, then it can create an opportunity for them to visualize spending that time with you, what you are like when you travel. How many stamps do you have on your passport, and how'd you get them? Do you have a passport card or a book passport? Because I have both. And then they may ask, well, why did you decide to get both? Why do you have a card passport? And then I might say, well, when I like to fly, I like to be able to show my passport as opposed to my driver's license, because your passport doesn't have your address on it. So for safety, only thing I have to flash is my passport instead of flashing my physical address. Whatever that conversation lends it to, it could then spiral off into several things. Oh, so you think about safety. Oh, okay. Well, let me tell you about one of the things that I've done. And that's where the conversation starts. Are there any smells, signs that remind you of a trip? I love that, Teddy. That is great trip question. That is a great trip question. Teddy says, are there any smells or sounds that reminds you of that trip to, let's say, Italy. I love it. Again, it's about asking questions that lends itself to a conversation that's meaningful. And you'll be surprised, a simple question about trips will help you get an understanding about people. Because let's say that you all are talking about travel, you're talking about a trip, and they tell you about an experience that may have been negative. You'll be able to discern how they respond to intense situations. Maybe their luggage was lost. How do they describe that experience? Did they say, and I went off on everybody in the airport? That might give you pause. It may give you something to think about. Don't consider it a red flag because not all red flags mean stop. Some red flags mean caution or slow down. But you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. There may be some things that present itself that you have to just unpack a little further. And then if you unpack and you still see signs of that, then clearly that's a flag that you need to stop and pay attention to. Teddy says it's about being yourself while showing interest. Absolutely. Being yourself. Now, to some people, that's easier said than done. I'm an extrovert. I never meet a stranger, even on the elevator. And I'm that person that gets on the elevator and speaks to everybody. I'm her. But that's just who I am. I'm just that person. My friends call me a social butterfly. But I love people. I love engaging in people. And when I get on a crowded elevator and everybody just looks painfully unconscious, I might crack a joke or I might just start singing happy birthday. And either everybody joins in or everybody looks like she's weird, but I bet it puts a smile on their face. Life is too short for us to walk around frowning all the time. Be approachable, be available and open. Have your guard up, absolutely, and be safe. But there's no reason for you to be uptight. So make good conversation. Ask open-ended questions, people. I'm an introvert trying to be extroverted. Maybe you're an ambivert. Maybe you're a little of both. Maybe you're an ambivert. Soliloquy speaking, those are good vibes. Absolutely. And it's about having good vibes. So I did a workshop on how to help introverts be more open. And I had 25 people in the workshop. And I gave them some tips on, I don't want you to change who you are, but you're an introvert that's trying to date. You're never going to meet anybody if you don't just kind of step out a little bit. You can put your feet in the water. You don't have to swim, but at least put your feet in the water. So in that workshop, I taught those introverts how to make themselves available without making themselves feel uncomfortable. So you can do it. All you introverts that are out there, you can do it. I may do a live on that. How to help an introvert become more socially aware and available. Y'all keep an eye out for that one. If you ask open-ended questions, it encourages the other person to share more about themselves. Child, please. Oh, where? Wait a minute. What did T-Body say? Me too. T-Body, you are not an introvert. I have met you in person. You are not an introvert. You probably are an ambivert. And let me explain it. Ambivert is a person who who may be a little shy, maybe a little introverted, but when they're comfortable with the right group of people and in a social setting, they become more open. That is an ambivert. So it's a little of both. And that is you, T-Body. Okay. What do you enjoy most about your job versus how was your day? How was your day? What kind of answer do most people give? It was fine. It was okay. But what did you What did you like most about your day at work today? What did you like least? Was there a person at work that ticked you off? Was there a person that made you smile? Did somebody at work do something and then you complimented on? What did they do? That's very different than how was your day? Text. Hey, beautiful. Hey, handsome. How was your day? Fine. How was your day? That's not data collecting. That's just being nice. That's just, texting. Or pick up the phone. Hey, babe, how are you? I'm good. So, what I'd love to do, this show, every week I come to you all. It's called Conversations with Angel. You all have gotten really comfortable with me having a conversation with you with nobody else. So I'd love to invite someone in the chat. I'd love to have a little role play for anyone who wants to request up. You hit the guest box. If you have 1,000 or more followers, you can come into the live. You have to come on video. If this is your first time on Conversations with Angel, if I know you and I know your content and I've talked to you in person or I've seen your face and you're not in position to be on camera, I certainly understand. But for those of you that are new that I may not know, you're welcome to come up. I'd love to do a little role play exercises on some conversation starters. Remember, the very, very best conversation starters are personalized, they're genuine, and they show sincere interest. You cannot fake sincerity. You cannot fake genuine. You can't fake it. A person can discern and tell whether someone is faking it. So if you don't take the time to data collect, you can't wean out the imposters, the people that are faking it until they make it into your bed or into your head. Don't do it. Don't fall for the okie doke. Oh, yes, you will. You'll make it. You will definitely make it. So everybody in here, all of you all, first of all, let's tap the screen. Thank you all for getting me to 10,000 likes. Let's tap the screen. Tap, 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 tap the screen. Teddy, why can't you turn your camera on? Why can't you turn your camera on? Are you in the bed? I know you. Come on up. I know who you are. But everybody, DEG Junior. DEG Junior. Follow him so we can get him to 1,000 followers. Hello, Teddy. How are you, sweetheart?
I'm fine. And yourself?
I am fabulous. Couldn't be better.
Great.
So you want to role play a little conversation with me?
Okay, I'm down.
All right. So we're going to set this up.
hmm
And let's say that we met on TikTok. We exchanged phone numbers.
hmm
We had very little pleasantries in the DM, so we don't know much about each other.
Okay.
But obviously, there is an interest, and I'm
Right.
calling you for the first time.
Okay.
You ready?
All right.
Okay. Ring, ring, ring.
Hello.
Hello, may I speak to Teddy?
Speaking.
Hi, Teddy. This is Angel from TikTok.
Hey, what's up, Angel? Wow, you called me really quick. I wasn't expecting that. I like that though.
Oh, really? Why
I like
not?
that. These days people try to play cool and I'm gonna wait it out and make him make the first move, but I like that. Something different.
Absolutely,
hmm
absolutely.
hmm
So how is it you're in Virginia, right?
No, 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 no. I'm in Los Angeles. Los Angeles.
You're in Los Angeles. Why did I
Yeah.
think
See, you messed up
Virginia?
already. You forgot where I live. See, you're fired already.
Why did I think Virginia? But okay,
Uh,
let's get back on topic.
okay.
So how are things out there?
Unbelievable. The weather here is pretty good. Kind of fickle, but
Yeah,
it's my home, so I'm kind of used to it. Um, so I can't complain. I can't complain at all. Forgive me. I'm
really.
kind of nervous because I wasn't expecting to hear from you. So
Oh,
it's a good nervous though. Nothing bad.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yeah,
Well, I'm a woman of my word. You asked me for my number, we
true.
exchanged numbers, and I was like, he's a really nice guy,
Hmm.
really handsome. I really love your salt and pepper beard, and
Flattery
I
will get you everywhere.
well,
I'm
good,
just saying. I'm just saying. You know.
good, good. So, Teddy,
Yes.
what made you decide to reach out to me on TikTok?
Well, I mean, obviously, I think you're very attractive. Your smile. I'm a sucker for a smile.
Thank you.
Very beautiful smile. Your voice, very sultry, sophisticated. You're just fine to me. I don't know how else to put it. You're very, very pretty, and I like
Well,
that.
thank you. So, I'm gonna pause the conversation for a second. So, as you all can see, ladies and gentlemen, Teddy is doing an amazing job. We're having dialogue and having conversation. But one thing that I will tell you, men especially, we love compliments, absolutely. But there are a lot of us, and I don't know if you were on here earlier, Teddy, when I said that I'm a sapiosexual.
Okay.
So, because of that,
Hmm.
I would not recommend any man to get caught up in complimenting me on my looks. The reason why I say that is many women like myself that are saps, we don't need that type of gratification because what we need, what we're intoxicated by is yes, compliments,
Hmm.
but we are intoxicated by intellect.
Right.
So I'm going to be enthralled in your conversation if I can walk away having learned something
Hmm.
or different. So roll that back.
Okay.
Now that you know that about me.
Okay. Can I ask you a question though, pertaining to that?
Yes. Hmm.
Is that because you get compliments so often? Like women, for example, or I would think women get complimented more than men. So it's
Yeah.
probably a dime a dozen for you guys. Is that part of the reason?
So that's part of the reason. But here's the thing, and I know you enough to know that you wouldn't get caught up in that.
Right, right, right,
But
right.
unfortunately, there are a lot of men who believe because a woman looks a certain way that that's all
Hmm.
she wants to hear.
Right, 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 right.
And so you lose the data because remember, you're trying to get to know me. And so if you're telling me throughout, every time I talk, it's going to
Yeah,
be eventually like this, like,
yeah. And then it's just kind of disingenuous because it's like I'm trying
exactly.
too hard. I'm trying too hard.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I follow you. I follow
And
you.
Gandhi says, this is perfect. She says, beauty is not the whole package.
Oh
So
yeah,
just remember
yeah.
that in your mental Rolodex. Okay, so roll it
Okay,
back.
okay.
You
Roll it
told
back.
me that I was beautiful, and I said, thank you.
Okay.
Go.
Well, I'm glad that you reached out. Like again, it's pretty refreshing because usually it's expected for us to do that. So to have it done to me, I'm very flattered, and you got me blushing over here. Yes, black men do blush. So I'm blushing. I'm blushing. So tell me something about you that not too many people know about.
Oh, wow. Teddy, that's really a great question. Um, when I was a senior in high school, the
Hmm.
summer before my senior year in high school, I spent the summer in Europe. My parents wanted to make sure that I experienced other cultures before going off to college because
Hmm.
college is a melting pot of cultures. And so
Absolutely.
I spent a couple of weeks in London, a couple of weeks in Paris, a couple of weeks in Rome, Venice, and Florence, Italy, Zermatt, Switzerland, and Heidelberg, Germany for
Okay.
my senior year. And it was amazing. A lot of people don't know that.
And if you could live in either of those places, which one would you choose?
Oh, gosh. I would love to live in Florence.
How
I
so?
loved Florence, and I've gone back again since because
Uh,
of course at 18, I
right.
didn't really appreciate it. But I love Florence because not only are the people just amazing, friendly, but it's one of those places where it kind of reminds me of a country city.
Okay.
Um,
You're
the
speaking my
art
language now. I'm an outdoors kind of guy, so
exactly, and
uh-huh.
it's artsy. It's
Okay.
great. So time. So ladies and gentlemen, did you see what just happened? So not only did he take me to a place, asked me about something that's unique to me, it didn't make me reveal anything that could be used against me later, anything that could manipulate. But also, he asked a follow-up question that again took us into a conversation, and there was sincerity there. So now I'm going to ask you a couple questions.
Okay.
All right, Teddy.
Yes.
So tell me beyond a shadow of a doubt when you knew that you were going to be or became successful.
I still question that. I'm because I'm not where I want to be. I'm kind of a perfectionist, and so I'm never really satisfied. I'm always questioning, okay, what could I have done differently to get myself farther than where I am right now? I would never want to go back and completely change anything, but maybe a different decision that maybe I could have made, or maybe that appointment that I turned down, maybe I should have taken it, that kind of a thing.
Wow.
So I'm constantly wanting to do better than I did the day before, without trying to sound too cliche. But that's just
Sure.
keeping it a buck. I always want to do better than I did the previous day, so I can continue to improve and become the best version of me possible, if that makes sense.
Absolutely. So do you think that you're moving towards your purpose or in your purpose now, since you don't think you've made it to success?
I'm moving in my purpose in the attempt to attain my purpose, if that makes any sense. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because I have to remain in it
Absolutely.
in order to continue on the path that I want. That's how I look at it anyway.
So what do you think is missing?
You or someone like you, or a good woman. Let me put it that way. A good woman.
So ladies, so that's where you want, not necessarily say you, but ladies,
That was
that's
kind of
where
corny, I know,
you
but that
want,
just came off the top of my head.
right? And that's, you want to get him to a point where he expresses how he can get on his purpose aware, but at least to have an understanding. Now, here's the thing. Now, of course, he was saying it in jest, but an imposter could say the same thing. So
Hmm.
you've got to be able to not
Hmm.
listen and become emotionally attached to his words, but what are his actions? Does he have a plan for an us? And what does that look like? Don't get caught up with, and this is why I told Teddy, don't spend so much time complimenting her and talking about how beautiful she is and all of these things, because a man who is an imposter will use that to manipulate you. He says, "Oh, she gets off on me calling her all of these things. Well, let me keep doing that." Remember, the goal is to get a relationship, to have a commitment. If that is your desire, don't let his or her, because women are manipulators too, her words get you derailed to get you in the bed or inside your head. If you all don't remember anything else I've said tonight, the purpose is important. So steer him or her from that type of talk so that you can get the true authentic person.
Would
So
you say that that's a
yes,
form of
that's
love
correct.
bombing? When I'm sorry, didn't mean to cut you off.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay.
The question he asked was, is that a form of love bombing? And it absolutely is, particularly at the very beginning stage. You want to run or change the topic when someone is so super complimentary of you and talking about how much of an asset you are to their life and the vision that they have for you together, and it's the first date. They're love bombing you, and that's a level of toxicity that will manipulate. So, and you don't want to do that. Hey, Lady T. Hello, Sarah. Happy belated Founders Day, sweetheart. Excuse me, I had to
That's okay. And hey, I may have to like get out of here to put
go
out a
right
fire
ahead.
in a
Thank
few
you for
minutes.
role playing with
Um,
me, Teddy.
no, I'm glad I got a chance to come up. I enjoy participating in lives, especially ones like this,
Thank
because I think
you.
we can all learn a little bit of something from it, especially when it comes to interacting with, you know, our female and male counterparts. So I appreciate
Yes,
what you're doing. I really do.
absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you so much for coming up, Teddy. I appreciate
Thank you
you.
for having me, and I'm glad you like the color purple because I like the color too. So good
Absolutely.
minds think alike.
Absolutely.
All
Absolutely.
right, have a good
Love
night.
you much, Teddy. Thank
Bye
you.
bye.
So everybody, what we just demonstrated, Teddy and I, we had this conversation. We'd never met in person. We had limited information that we gleaned from one another in the chat. And once we had that initial conversation, it's about collecting the data, listening to what he says. If you're on the phone with a guy, if you're not FaceTiming, take notes. Pay attention to what he's saying. Guys, pay attention to what she's saying. But more importantly, pay attention to what she's not saying. Pay attention to what he is not saying. That is critical. Remember, dating is about data collection. You are getting to know someone. There is nothing worse than going a month into dating and you don't even know a person's birthday. You don't even know a person's real name. I have talked to people who have met some people by social media, by their usernames, and didn't even think to ask them. So, is Kool-Aid John your real name? Is John your real name? Or what is your name? Just the basic questions. Get to know the person and ask questions that are open ended, not closed end, not yes or no or one word responses, because you want to create conversations. You want to create authentic tennis match conversations. I hit the ball over the net, you hit it back. I hit it to you, you hit it back. That's how conversations go. And when you cultivate good communication in the dating phase, it can only get better in the relationship phase. Remember, dating is about data collection. Then ask questions that will help you discern whether you like this person. You can talk to a person and have successful long distance relationships, long distance dating, set the parameters of what that's going to be, but have meaningful conversations. And I don't mean occasional texting 2 or 3 sentences for 6 months, finally meeting the person, and you don't know anything about them. An imposter can keep up the facade for a long time. The more a person sees you vulnerable with them and their intentions aren't good, they can keep that facade up as long as they want until they get what they want. And that is to get inside your bed or to get inside your head. And that's not what you want. I am so great. I'm so great tonight. I love this conversation. I love each and every one of y'all, and there's nothing you can do about it. Just to recap what we've talked about tonight, thank you all so much for 14,000 likes and the team gifts. I appreciate that. Tonight's conversation with Angel is about data collecting and what types of questions and conversation starters that you can use to get to know someone. So I'm going to quickly go over the questions that I gave you guys. Tell me about a time you knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that you were going to be or are successful. What is your view on monogamy? And are you capable of being monogamous with one woman, with one man for life? All right. Another question I just thought about. If money were not an issue, If money were not an issue and you no longer had to work, how would you spend? How would you spend your remaining days? If money were not an issue and you no longer had to work, how would you spend your remaining days? Okay. What have you learned about yourself from being in a past relationship? What have you learned about yourself from being in a past relationship? Have you identified your purpose in life? Have you identified your purpose in life, and are you walking in it or are you walking towards it? Are you walking in your purpose or are you walking towards your purpose? What is your vision for us or the relationship that you desire? What is your vision for us or the relationship that you desire? And good good conversation starters, okay? When you just have just that little pregnant pause or that awkward silence, and you're looking for things to start good conversations. Start off with genuine compliments. And we did that when Teddy and I did the role play. He gave some compliments, but he kept going and going and going and going. Give one or two genuine compliments and talk about why you're complimenting that person and let that spark conversation. You have a great smile. It instantly caught my attention. One of the things I love about people that smile is that it's so freeing. And then you talk about expressions. Maybe you get into dialogue about dimples. Maybe you talk about teeth. But genuine compliments, when you give them, the person appreciates that. And it helps you to talk about conversations about style, about appearance, and even interest as it relates to the compliment that you're giving. Number 2 conversation starter, find a common ground with hobbies, interests, and activities. I talked about football and how much I love the NFL. I talked about my color, my favorite color. I talked about some hobbies, how I like to read, a book that I've read, why it's exciting, maybe a movie I just saw. You find common interest that lends itself to more conversations. Current events. What's going on in the news? I talked about what happened to Harvard's president, the first African American female president. What happened to her? What's going on in Israel and Palestine? Whatever. What's happening in your city? Something that may spark some interest and some conversation. Okay? Talk about travel. If you love to travel, see if they like to travel. If they like to travel, do you have a passport? Where do you want to go? What do you think? These are good conversation starters. As long as you ask open-ended questions and glean off of their answers to form a conversation. The more you practice this in dating, the stronger your communication gets. There's nothing worse than trying to get to know someone and all they are giving you is one-word answers. There's no way that you're going to get to know them, and chances are you're not going to be interested in dating them any longer. So that concludes my live tonight. I really appreciate all of the taps, all of the love. I love having conversations like this on Conversations with Angel. I am your femininity coach. Ladies, if you find that you're struggling with tapping into your feminine energy, if you know that you need to heal the little girl within, that you're ebbing in your masculine energy more, then definitely click on the link in my bio, set up a one-on-one appointment with me. I'm working on the final edits for my ebook that will be coming out, Femininity 101. And y'all know I'm in grad school working on my PhD. So things are going a little slower. I'm trying to schedule my one-on-ones. I've got a list of people that have already booked with me. So I'm trying to find free time because I'm committed to your growth as well. But I am a student and I work full time. So give me some grace, please. I promise I will get to all of you. But I thank you all so much for joining me tonight. And if there aren't any other questions for me, let me just peruse through the chat. Hey, Mr. Invincible, hello. What was your upbringing like? Tells you of the relationship between his loved ones, especially his mom. Okay, so Master Venus, how are you? Beautiful. So we talked a little bit about that question earlier. I'm not sure if you were in. One of the things that I have found, and I know that you're a coach and it may be a little different in your experience. One of the things that I found when you ask about a person's upbringing in that manner, imposters have formed or canned answers. They already know that that question is coming. So what I like to do is ask about experiences. So tell me about a time when you were in kindergarten that you still remember. Or what's your favorite holiday? And most often when people talk about their favorite holidays, it evokes memories of either triggering memories, or it brings up pleasurable memories, happy memories. You know, oh, I love Christmas because I remember when. And so I try to tell people to ask questions. You almost have to ask around the question to get the sincerest answer, because it catches people off guard and they have to give sincerity. They can't give a canned or fixed answer, if that makes sense. But I know where you were getting at, because you definitely want to know what someone's upbringing is like. You know, you want to know, are you a hugger? Well, not. Well, if you're not, then where's that coming from? Was there trauma? Because we also have to remember, especially with men, and I mentioned this earlier, it takes a minute for a man to be vulnerable. And if a question evokes some vulnerability, if there was trauma in his childhood, he's not going to right off the bat tell you, because a man has to know that he can trust you with his vulnerability, and he has to know that you're not going to weaponize him later for being vulnerable with him. So he's not right out the gate, but there are questions that you can ask him that you can discern from that information how his upbringing was. So, hey, Shauna, hello, love. If you keep talking about their ex, absolutely, Lord Jesus. Now, I will say this. You do want to get some, like my question about, what have you learned about yourself from being in your past relationships? The red flag comes in if they hadn't learned anything, or they deflect. Well, what have I learned about me? I learned that I'll never date a woman from Charlotte because all women from Charlotte cheat. That's deflection, and he hadn't learned anything. But if he says, or if she says, if I were asked that question, Angel, what did you learn about yourself from past relationships? Well, I learned that I can't take myself for granted, and I moved in masculine energy, became completely unhealed, and ended up dating the same man with a different face because I wasn't healed. And so now I realize that in order for me to be whole for myself and for someone else, then I've got to acknowledge and hold myself accountable for the demise of my past relationships. See, there's a difference between deflecting and casting blame to someone else. And you'll know that someone isn't going to be triggered by that question, or trying to, say, this person did this person. Run. When you are data collecting with someone and all they do is talk about what somebody else done. Or here's another thing for all of you all that, and I'm going to do a live on online dating. When you're reading dating profiles on online dating, run away from, and don't do this, of people that list all the things that they don't want. Don't swipe right if you can't have a conversation, if you only have one picture, if you done, because what they're doing is they're talking about things that's traumatized them or brought them pain, or things that someone else has done. They're negative. Don't do this and don't do that. And don't swipe right if you can't do this. And if you can't do this. And if you can't have a full body picture. And if you can't do that. Instead of telling you about themselves. Swipe right if you want a fun, loving, blah, blah, blah. If you want somebody to something positive. But if their whole profile is about all the things they don't want, that's a negative Nelly, and they hadn't gotten over their past relationship trauma. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. So that's actually great. Thank you so much, Venus. Thank you. What are the best dating websites to join? So I actually am going to do a live on this. And I don't know if I'm going to do it, if it's going to be part of the transformation team or if I'm going to do it here on Conversations with Angel. It has been my experience, and y'all know I researched dating. I did a whole research on online dating sites for 3 months, and I hit all of them for 3 months, and it was like, ugh. But there are some really good ones out there, and I've met some really neat guys, not necessarily any that I would date, because hence the reason I'm still single. But I have found that any dating site that you have to subscribe to are going to, the more you pay, the better the site, because the people are more serious. You know the saying, you get what you pay for. I would be very leery of sites that give you full autonomy to do a lot of things for free. But if you can't, like, for example, I know with Hinge, for example, you can't get to know someone or go in someone's DMs or see their likes if you don't subscribe. And I think BOK is like that. I know Match.com is one of those that's been out for a long time. Plenty of Fish has been out there. If you have to pay to play, and the more you pay to play, the better the quality, because people are serious about their money. People are serious about their coins. So, take that as it may. But if you're serious about doing the online dating, which I find nothing wrong with, I know people that are in very healthy, fulfilling, great relationships. I know marriages that has happened from online dating meetups. All of the ones that I just mentioned have been successful because they subscribed. They actually had to pay to play. And so they took it more seriously. Bumble is another one. I haven't heard a lot of good things about Bumble, and I was only on Bumble for about 3 weeks, and it irritated me beyond, because it was overwhelming. I'll say it was overwhelming, because the way Bumble works is you can't, like, I could see people I subscribe, and I did them all in 3 months, like all of them at the same time. So I was like, but you can't engage with a person if they're not a subscriber, which was interesting. But I didn't like Bumble. I would say my favorite one, the best one that gave more autonomy to both users, it allowed the subscription to be month to month or whatever, I would say is probably Hinge was probably the one. Maybe it's a tie between Hinge and Plenty of Fish were the two. And it seemed like a more professional. And then I liked the fact that you could live chat on there. So you want to look at features, and you want to see how much information you can get for the money that you pay for. And I always tell people to only do 30 days. Don't do like a year or 6 months or only pay for 30 days. See how you like it and go from there. But I'm going to do a live on online dating. I just don't know when yet, but that's on my agenda. So make sure you stay tuned. You're welcome, China. You're welcome. So thank you all again so much. I appreciate you joining me for Conversations with Angel. Join me on Sunday with the Transformation team. I will actually be hosting the live. So come right back here. If you're not following me, please follow me. And for those of you all that are following me tonight, thank you so much. But join me Sunday night, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the Transformation team. We're going to talk about, of course, relationships. And Sunday is going to be a really hot topic. So I'm not going to give it away just yet, but just stay tuned to my page and the other coaches. And you want to make certain that you're always following all 6 coaches, all 6 of us, because you never know whose live is going to be on. But I'm giving you all a sneak peek. It's going to be on my channel on Sunday, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thank you all so much. Until then, the next Conversations with Angel next Wednesday night. And I'll just tell you, it's going to be real good. We're going to talk about some adult stuff next week. So you don't want to miss it. You all have an amazing night. Be careful, all of you all throughout the country that's dealing with really frigid temperatures, ice and snow. Be careful, be safe. Make sure that you're checking in on your loved ones, particularly senior citizens that may not be able to get out. Make sure that they have heat and that their water pipes hasn't frozen. So until then, I love you all, and I mean it. Good night.